This is Control Ultimate Edition. We're here on Xbox Series S diving into the next-gen version of this game. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So what are we getting here? And first off, I will mention again that this is the Ultimate Edition of Control. So there is a last-gen version of Control, and there is an Ultimate Edition. So this is the proper next-gen optimized iteration of the game. Just be sure you're grabbing the right version of the game, otherwise, obviously things are going to be, a little bit off. You're not going to get as much of a performance boost and whatnot. So what are we getting here? We're getting a 900p kind of native resolution that is temporal upscaled to 1080p at 60 FPS. And yeah, it is a fantastic game. I love Control. It is a great title. It is a Remedy experience. It is one that was filled with challenge and unique setups and really thrilling combat and mystery. So it's kind of got this really cool universe combining design to it and just some really crazy visual aesthetics and combinations that I think is just absolutely fantastic. This is a must-play experience and my game of the year for the particular year that it did release in. So it is most certainly worth your time. I think you will have a lot of fun with it. We've got a fantastic lead character that is attempting to look for details behind what happened with her brother many, many years ago. You step into this facility where all of a sudden you have become, well, I guess basically a bit of a lead kind of runner of this whole facility. It's crazy, it's wild, you get action-packed abilities, you unlock unique things. Now this game does have a completely separate sort of play and everything like that, which I thought was a bit weird. So if you're coming from Control, the last one, you might have to actually, well, the first iteration of it, you might have to actually kind of start fresh here and stuff, so keep that in mind. I will also mention that this drops the ray tracing, so if you're on Series X, you get ray tracing as an option. So this is literally just the one mode, but it does look pretty good. It does look fairly sharp. I mean, 1080p isn't necessarily the best, but we do get a smooth 60 FPS. You do get a very good looking game that does run well. And with Remedy's sort of artistic design and visual styling, you will actually find that this holds up quite well because it, kind of cleans things, keeps things smooth, if that makes sense. It really does help kind of hide that lower resolution, I think, quite effectively. So this is a game where you're inside of a facility that continues to reveal itself to you. As you progress, as you interact with things, new areas open up and new things happen. And this is the full version of the game too, in regards to all of the content that was released afterwards, which kind of extended the main story, which was kind of cool. So you might find that aspect to be quite interesting. You get a lot of different abilities, and what's really neat is this is a very versatile and destructible environment. So you can really just absolutely smash up and destroy bits of the world. And I think that is really, really quite cool. I love that aspect of the experience where you're kind of moving around, just absolutely smashing things. Let's go in here and let's just, it's really quite cool. And as you get more abilities, you can decimate the environment even further. And I love this styling of having these supernatural abilities, this really crazy gun that kind of fits every job kind of scenario thing. Very, very exciting, very action-packed. And like I said, a generally great experience. I would highly recommend this one. There shouldn't be anything too spoilers in this as well, because this is all early stuff right here that we're showing off. But a definite must-play experience. I think, many people would be blown away by what this has to offer in terms of storytelling and gameplay and narrative and excitement and intrigue as you figure out this character. You learn about the different scenarios and stuff that are going on. You figure out the different puzzles. It really does play with your, kind of a little bit of your mind. It's very much like a psychological kind of thriller kind of game, which is what Remedy is known for. I mean, if you know about Remedy, you know about the crazy cool things they do and the crazy cool games they make. And I think this is just another one of those games that really does deliver, as you just get sent into this, kind of crazy world where insane things are happening, and you're as part of this bureau that handles things that no one else would handle. And just the glow, I guess you would say, of the different objects and stuff that you can kind of come across is really, really cool. They do an absolutely fantastic job with that design. Like, seriously, some of the lighting in this game is just outstanding. They really, really do offer some unique experiences that you can have, crazy challenges along the way, and it's just absolutely fantastic that this is present. You know, it really, really does, I think, present what is a fun game, something that you can find to be a little bit of a challenge. Like, there's difficulty tuning things. I don't think it's too hardcore for anyone, because, you know, it is mostly focused on storytelling and character development. But yeah, I was just absolutely thrilled by what this game had to offer. I think it's, you know, to me, definitely a must-play title. It's one of the best games of the last generation. And this Control Ultimate Edition is like a nice, you know, extra sort of touch on top of that. Obviously, I would have liked to see just a quick update to that original version of the game. So I don't necessarily agree with them doing a whole standalone version of the game, but at the same time, I'm not really going to complain too much, because playing a bit more Control is not at all a bad time for me, because I really, really love what this has to offer. This is such a cool, fancy, sleek experience with so many crazy moments that go on. You will be absolutely thrilled, delighted, and feel a good sense of challenge as well as you take on all of these different enemies across these different places, as you get closer to understanding the secrets, understanding what's going on. And it really does play around with you in many, many different ways. Paranatural powerhouse. So you get continuously new abilities as you progress, crazy story action moments the whole way through, and it is so cool. Like, you will absolutely have a blast playing this game. I think most people I talk to absolutely just love what this has to offer, especially if you come from their other games, you know, Quantum Break, Alan Wake, all those titles. You know, I think you're definitely going to feel a bit of familiarity with this, and those ones are all excellent as well. I highly suggest you play those games if you haven't already. They're thoroughly great, and certainly worth your time. So those ones are must-plays as well for me. Like, even you go back to the older days, like Remedy with like Max Payne type stuff, right? Like, they just deliver. If there's a company that I know always brings the best, it's Remedy. So this is no different than that kind of thing. I think you will be absolutely thrilled here. And for like literally like a 1080p kind of game, this looks really good. Like, it's so shockingly well put together here. I was not anticipating, you know, this kind of like almost quality and stuff like that. I'm very, very impressed by it. It looks like it seems to all be running very smooth, which is good too. And I'm just trying to say, really, you know, check this game out. You will not be disappointed. I think this is like a pretty bad fight scenario in here. Yeah, this is like a boss kind of thing. This one is a little bit weird. Nothing else in this game is kind of challenging, I'd say, but this one is kind of like, I remember this guy being a bit of a pain, because he would keep on dodging all of my attacks, and I'd just be like, are you kidding me? So let's see how I handle him this time with actual higher frame rate. So that's the best thing about the next gen here, is like, not only, you know, do we have another excuse to play this game, we've got an excuse to play this game where it is actually running quite fluidly, which is nice, because that was definitely a thing with the last gen, was that this one had definitely some performance issues here or there. That was true, but now on, you know, the next gen, it's actually running pretty good, I would say. I'm very happy with this offering. You know, it definitely is an Ultimate Edition, you would say, even if it's not like a free upgrade to next gen, which would be, you know, kind of ideal. That's kind of the thing I would hope for most games in the modern era, is that we actually get free next gen updates. But like I was saying, I'm not really complaining that we get to jump in here and play this, because for some people this will be, you know, their first experience with the game, and this is a very good first experience to have. You know, obviously, if you are able to, I would see, that's what I'm saying. This one, a little bit more difficult, this section here of this boss fight. It's very strange, but you get to see the loading kind of go on. Nothing else in this game is like this portion for some reason. Because this is like the early on initial sort of big, like, boss guy you kind of fight. Like, there's not really like boss fight things, if that makes sense. Like, this is just kind of, you know, an enemy thing here. But yeah, I think you will absolutely have a blast going through this, finding the secrets. If you can, you know, on Series X, it's really cool to see the ray tracing in action. You know, I would suggest, if you have a moment, to check out my Series X review of this as well, just to get an idea of what the ray tracing can be like. Because it is, you know, it's a cool option to have. That's the biggest thing, is that's a very next-gen tech. And it's a little sad that the Series S doesn't also get something like that to showcase, you know, what ray tracing can be like here, because I think this game is, for me, from what I understand, on a lot of different places, this is the poster child for, like, ray tracing stuff. Like, this was being very pushed from, like, a RTX standpoint, which would be, you know, PC with NVIDIA there, and it's definitely pushed from a Xbox Series X and PS5 perspective. So this one, you know, definitely gives you that offering. It's just for Series S, you don't get to have that fun little extra bit of joy with quality, right? Like, it's just not like a downgrade to any degree, right? Like, this still looks fantastic. This still plays really great. This is a great way to enjoy this game. It's just kind of like, would have been really, really cool to see this, you know, with that kind of effect, to have that option. I think it would have been a nice touch. But it doesn't take away from anything to any degree. I mean, you'd have to drop, you know, your frame rate down, which wouldn't be the best, you know, but it's cool to see. That's the biggest thing, is for people that aren't familiar with ray tracing, this game does a phenomenal job of it. Which I guess we shouldn't, again, be talking about too much, because this isn't a Series X review or review of a platform that has this, like, running with ray tracing on the Series S, right? But it's just something to mention, because to me, I find that to be really, really cool. So there's also a lot of kind of items of power, which are really neat in this. So these are like hidden objects that have special things. So you can actually go and do, I guess you would almost call them like side type missions, where you go out and you kind of get these special pieces and that. So yeah, that's kind of a neat touch, and that's kind of what we're doing here initially, is kind of discovering, you know, that first, well, I guess not first, we just kind of grab stuff, but, you know, like grabbing this power and getting these extra, because there's more abilities you get, and I just love how it's kind of really filmatic, if that makes sense, as you go into different places too. I love that aspect, especially of, like, Remedy titles. They always do these crazy melds of game and then also, like, movie or TV, and this is just, you know, right along those lines, as it just kind of plays with your mind on things. It's so interesting, some of the crazy things you end up doing. And this is the Ocean View Motel, and you might find yourself coming here a few different times for different surprises and different secrets, because things change a little bit every time you go at it. And it's really, really cool, and I'm hoping I actually get this all done cleanly on the first go, because I remember that being a big thing last time. Was I kind of went through it on my first try on this spot, and I was like, okay. So hopefully that is the case again, because I don't want to be too embarrassing in that regard. But, you know, it is like a puzzle scenario. It is one where you are trying to figure out stuff. It's like the story is basically just starting to reveal itself at this point. Like, it's just kicking off. It's just getting started. And that, to me, is really exciting, because, you know, it was such a good game. Like, it's just like, okay, so this is just like, even the areas that you switch between, you're gonna be like, oh wow, you know, and then you'll get to like a completely kind of different scenario and world. I find that so interesting. And like the physics and stuff in this world are spectacular. The visuals in the world are great. The graphics, the quality of all the set pieces, absolutely fantastic. And then you get to these really cool cinematic portions where, you know, kind of character development and stuff is happening, or it's really, really awesome. That's the biggest thing, is it's awesome what they do with this game. I love it so much. I think we gotta, like, fly up in the air. The hotline will allow you to contact the extra-dimensional entity. The Astral Plane Challenge. But you get to visit just some wild spots and figure out some crazy things. And if you are, like I was mentioning, a bit of a fan of the other Remedy titles, I think you will also be delighted with some of the hidden references and the interconnectivity of the world around us, which is really, really cool. You know, the world around us as within this experience, because you do kind of come across these moments and everything just comes together. Ah, yes. It's an object of power.
It doesn't connect to any typical network. A direct line to the astral plane and the board. And my hypothesis is, under the right conditions, to other planes of existence as well.
A director needs a team. My management team. These people know the secrets of the Bureau as well as I do. Some even better. Darling, Tomasi, Salvador, Marshall. Marshall especially, my head of operations. She sees right through me. She knows I don't like relying on people. The only person you should fail is yourself. But things change when you become director.
I have it. The hotline. I can reach Trench.
That gets you going, doesn't it?
Listen, he feels more like an echo. An echo with important info. I need to get back to Emily. People react strongly when I tell them about you.
So anyways, I hope that's kind of been a pretty cool little tease thing. We'll head back there and we'll get some more context details on stuff. But yeah, like I was saying, this game is just so reactive and so cool to what you're doing. I love it. It feels so cool to play too. Like, you feel like this very powerful, strong character, and it's just fantastic. And you're also continuing to get more abilities as you continue to fight and whatnot. Actually, is there something up here? Ooh, gotta find all these shelters. Because you never know what kind of secrets you might come across. Seriously, like, if you just look around, there's a lot of hidden stuff that you can find. And it's just like the world building within this game and this series is just so neat. You never know what you find in the bathrooms too. Sometimes you find like hidden secrets and whatnot. It's super cool. Just absolutely fantastic. I think we're supposed to go. We're in the mail room, right? So we need to go to Central Executive, and everything just loads way faster too, which is nice. Because I remember, I think it was like a death or two, and I was like, oh, sometimes the loading in this game can be nuts, but yeah, no, this is really good. Let's go meet Emily. She's a little strange, but very good assistant.
Jesse, did you get the hotline? I mean, how is it out there? The comms, the hiss? Sorry, you made it.
I got the hotline. I can make out what Trench is saying now.
Incredible. What did he say?
He talked about his management team. People who knew the Bureau's secrets. Your boss, Darling. Tomasi, but he's gone. He's gone. Salvador?
He's the head of security.
And Marshall?
Helen Marshall is head of operations. She's tough, ex-CIA. She took her Rangers and went to the research sector to secure the HRA production. She hasn't come back.
Someone who could help us. The other sectors. How do I get there?
It's impossible because of the internal lockdown. You can perform a directorial override to lift it, but that can only be done in the maintenance sector. Normally, you take the sector elevator down there. It connects all the sectors, but it won't work while the lockdown is in effect.
We already got past one lockdown. Maybe I can find a way.
Jesse, look, with no prep, no training, in this extreme situation, you are doing phenomenally well. And all that and the hiss can't seem to affect you. I mean, I would love to run some tests on you. If you agree, that is. We could find out something that would help us.
Tests. I don't know. She might find out about you. But I wouldn't mind understanding more myself. Okay. If you think it will help.
Great. I'll check the internal documentation for any lockdown bypasses. We need to get these sectors open to locate Darling and Marshall.